We have lots to talk about in today's video, including all kinds of rumors regarding off-season player movement. I'm talking today about the Toronto Maple Leafs, the Ottawa Senators, the Carolina Hurricanes, the Vegas Golden Knights, and more. Plus, we have some updates around the coaching carousel. The Maple Leafs have themselves a new head coach, and we have the latest on what's happening with the position in New Jersey. They seem to have it narrowed down, but have not quite made a decision as of yet. Plus, we have some signings, UFA rumors, and the latest on the Stanley Cup playoffs. All that coming up next. So welcome back to another video here at Top Shelf Hockey. As I mentioned, we have lots to cover here today. Let's start with the latest updates and news from the Stanley Cup playoffs. We saw another series come to an end last night, and the Carolina Hurricanes have been eliminated. They had a 3-1 lead going into the third period against the very tough New York Rangers team, who decided that they had a comeback in them. Chris Kreider led the way with a natural hat trick in the third period to power the Rangers past the Hurricanes and to end the series in 7 games to prevent it from going to a Game 7. The Hurricanes looked really good all game up to that point, but Freddie Anderson completely just melted down in the third. A couple of those goals should have never gone in, and it's not like there weren't other mistakes that led to those goals, but especially the last one, to me, Anderson absolutely needed to have. He had the opportunity to get a stick out into the crease. The puck came right across crease, and to me, he's too deep in this net, down in the RVH position too quick. So, I definitely put a fair bit of the blame at his feet for sure. Not to say that everybody else was perfect. They weren't. There were other mistakes, but it was one period completely cost them the season. And the Hurricanes are a team that's going to have tons of change, which we're going to get into here a little bit later. So the Rangers will head on to the Eastern Conference Final. The Hurricanes will head into the offseason, and they know that there's going to be lots of change in that team, so there was tons of sad faces like you'd expect anyway, but even more so knowing the amount of turnover that team likely could see this summer. Vancouver beat Edmonton last night as well to take a 3-2 series lead. The game was also 3-2. Quiet game. I mean, not overly quiet, but somewhat from a production standpoint from McDavid and Draisaitl. Elias Pettersson, who has struggled mightily and has not looked good, did play better and was more noticeable last night. Didn't get any goals, but he was a lot more physical. Definitely had more shot attempts, and just overall, he was, like I said, this is more noticeable. Definitely had a better game, which is a good sign. JT Miller ended up scoring the winning goal for the Canucks with I think it was 32 or 33 seconds left, and just stunned the Oilers. Calvin Pickard, I thought, was really good and gave the Oilers a fighting chance. Both of the Oilers goals came from depth guys. Vander Kane had one of those goals. And I believe the other one was Janmark from Connor Brown, which was nice to see. And overall, it was good to see that secondary scoring come in. But, when they can't get Draisaitl and McDavid and Nugent-Hopkins and Hyman on the board, it's hard to win. And they just didn't have a good game overall. So we'll see if they can force Game 7 tomorrow night. But the Canucks right now hold the advantage in that one, heading back to Edmonton. Tonight we've got Boston and Florida. I know some people were confused in yesterday's video, leaving comments saying I was talking about Boston and Florida and they weren't playing last night. I was mainly talking about Boston and Florida yesterday because of the Brad Marchand comments. If I chose my words to make it sound like I thought they were playing last night, I was well aware that they were not. But I just was mainly talking about Marchand's comments about how players are definitely out there trying to hurt each other. They are obviously underway for Game 6 here as I record this video. They're in the first period. It's currently 1-0 Boston. Just went at the end of the first. So the Boston Bruins are trying to stave off elimination here and force a Game 7. Marchand is back in the lineup. A couple of changes for Florida. I think they get Cousins and Lomberg back in, and Stephen Lawrence and Kyle Okposo are out. The Avalanche and Dallas Stars also have Game 6 a little bit later tonight as well. Roope Hintz still not going to be in the lineup for Dallas. So we'll see if the Avalanche can extend this series and also force a Game 7. We'll have to wait and see later on tonight. A few other signings here today as well. We've got the New Jersey Devils signed Curtis McDermott to a 3-year contract at $1.15 million. I'm not surprised they signed McDermott. They definitely brought him in for a reason. All the teams in the Metro were loading up with some size, muscle, and players who were willing to drop the gloves. He certainly fits that bill and ticks all those boxes, but a 3-year deal was a little bit surprising. Although the $1.15 million is, I believe, pretty much the maximum amount you can bury in the minors. So I guess there is a way out, so to speak, if things do not work out. I guess you could call this the Matt Rempe effect, as teams certainly started to load up and take notice after the Rangers rookie was getting tons of acknowledgments around the league and dropping the gloves and really making a difference for the New York Rangers. We do have a couple of other signings here as well. These were both rookie contracts signed by prospects. So we get the Anaheim Ducks today. Signed one of their prospect defensemen from the Saginaw Spirit, Rodwin Dionicho. He gets a 3-year ELC. He ended up putting up 25 goals, which I believe there was 10 defensemen in total who did that last year in the OHL, which is quite an accomplishment. 73 points total. He was a 5th-round pick originally in 2023. So the Ducks quite pleased with his progress. And, of course, Saginaw will be hosting the Memorial Cup as well, so there'll be some extra added incentive for him to finish the season strong there. And another signing in Tampa, they've signed Nico Huhtinen to a 3-year ELC as well. He was a 7th-rounder back in 2021, originally from Finland, but he did come to Canada to play his junior hockey in the WHL for the Everett Silvertips. Now, as I mentioned, on the coaching front, big news out of Toronto. There was a dedicated video on the channel from earlier tonight already, but in case you missed the news, Craig Berube is now the new head coach of the Toronto Maple Leafs. He gets a 4-year contract to take the over-the-bench boss job with the Maple Leafs. Of course, you can expect there to be probably some differences in style of play, and accountability is something that he preaches hardcore. Those players will be coached hard and they will be held accountable. There's no doubt about that. And obviously, the work there for Brad Treliving and Brendan Shanahan does not stop there. They certainly want to make some more changes to the roster, but Berube will be a good fit there. Like I said, I think those star players especially need a different kind of coach, more of a demanding coach who can hold them accountable. You know, he's not much of a X's and O's kind of guy. He's more of a motivator type of player or type of coach who's going to, get the team jacked up, ready to play, and at the same time, hold them accountable and certainly like a certain style of play. You could say he's a bit of a throwback coach. He's going to love, the type of, hard forward checking and big hits and all that type of stuff. But of course, at the same time, he's going to play the style of hockey that a team is built for. So, with a couple of good assistant coaches to surround him, they will be in good shape. Obviously, the assistant coaches will be probably a little bit more of the X's and O's kind of guys, and you can have, I don't know who's all going to be on the staff. There is speculation that Mark Savard is going to be coming from Calgary to join him. We don't know about the remaining staff in Toronto. Mike Van Ryn probably will remain part of the staff. I'm not sure about Guy Boucher or anybody else there. We'll have to wait and see. But certainly Berube will be, I think, a popular coach for the beginning. It seemed like he was the guy that most of the fans wanted. They've got their guy. So now we'll see what they do with the roster, because ultimately that's going to make the biggest difference in how they move forward. As far as the other coaching roles, the main one we're hearing speculation on, it could be settled soon, is New Jersey. We don't know exactly when this is going to be decided. I think a lot of the reason here is they're waiting on Sheldon Keefe, who they do have permission to speak to, and believe, depending on who you've kind of gotten the information from. Some believe that they have interviewed Keefe. Some say that they have permission to talk to him. They might have had some casual conversations, but nothing official. I don't know. Either way, there's been some dialogue. They have permission. He's in the mix, and some believe to be the preferred guy. But they're kind of waiting to hear from him. It sounds like they've kind of granted him a little bit of leeway to make a decision if he wants to, keep coaching and, jump right back in, or does he want to take some time off before taking another NHL coaching job. So I'm sure he's likely, thinking that over and talking about that with his family, and they'll make a decision. Jay Woodcroft and Todd McLellan also in the mix. Woodcroft's been the main other name mentioned there. Todd McLellan's interviewed with a bunch of jobs. Hard to say where he could end up. I believe he's in the mix as well, also in Seattle, and I think he's also talked to Winnipeg too. So we'll see where things go. But right now, it's looking like Woodcroft or Keefe are the most likely for New Jersey, but that is not 100% confirmed just yet. Now, on the rumor front, we've got a variety of things when it comes to trades, free agency, etc. Let's start with Ottawa. Ottawa Sun and TSN reporter Bruce Garriock's reporting a variety of things about Ottawa. In the new article he posted had a lot of tidbits of what they might be looking for. Now that they have their new head coach in place with Travis Green, they have work to do when it comes to the roster. Certainly goaltending is at the forefront of the attention of Steve Staios, the general manager, to make some more additional changes. He does indicate in his article that Ottawa did have talks around the trade deadline with the Boston Bruins about the possibility of acquiring Linus Ullmark. Obviously, that did not happen. We had heard that Ullmark was close to being traded and would not waive his no move clause. Now, obviously, there's other teams in the mix. I don't think that team was Ottawa, but it's believed to be either LA or Colorado as the main ones that they were closer to on a deal. But there were other teams in the mix. Now, I would suggest that LA would probably be in the mix again. That's certainly a possibility. And there could be a few other teams too. But Ottawa is expected, according to Garriock, to kind of re-engage with Boston to see if those talks can lead anywhere. Clearly, they'd have to move out one of their existing goaltenders to make room between roster space and salary cap space. So I'm not sure that the Boston Bruins would want to take one of their goalies back. But hard to say how those negotiations would go, but certainly look for Ottawa to be trying to see if they can lure Ullmark out of Boston after Swayman having a starting job throughout the playoffs. I would say he's probably going to be more willing now than before to waive and to find himself a new home for next year. So it could be the end of those goalie hugs at the whenever their season ends here in the playoffs. Ottawa also looking into a few other things here. As I mentioned, they're trying to get Shane Pinto signed. Word from Garriock is that Pinto's looking for a longer-term deal, preferably 5 to 6 years in that $5 million range. If they can't come to terms on a deal of that length and money-wise, they may settle on a 2-year deal for a little bit less. Clearly, Pinto and the team both interested in keeping him there long-term, but right now there is a gap in the money, and Pinto doesn't want to wait too long to get this contract done, so he doesn't want it to drag on like it did last offseason. So to have that, kind of be expedited, if you will, they may end up having to kind of change course to a shorter term and then re-engage down the line here. Also, a couple of UFA targets, according to Bruce Garriock, for the Ottawa Senators. A couple of names to look for. Doesn't mean they're going to get these players signed, but at the top of their shopping list when free agency opens, if these players are there, that is, defenseman Chris Tanev, who they were linked to at the deadline as well, and Tyler Toffoli. There could be a couple of interesting options. They don't have a ton of cap space, but certainly, like I said, they have the ability. They might be able to make a few other moves to free up some money. The odds of them landing Ullmark, Tanev, and Toffoli are all, hard to say, because we don't know what, if they did make a deal for Ullmark, what would be involved. Would they have to move Chychrun? That might be a possibility. Certainly they're looking to kind of redo some of this roster. So lots of things in the air when it comes to the Ottawa Senators. Doesn't mean that any or all of those things are going to happen, but those are all the things that they're kind of looking at right now and have interest in. As I mentioned, the Hurricanes are going to be a fascinating team to watch here now that they're eliminated from the playoffs. Lots of talk about the future of head coach Rod Brind'Amour. It's kind of fascinating in a way that extension to keep him there is not done. He's had a ton of success there, one of the better coaches in the league, and they keep nickel and diming him. So will things get resolved and him get signed? I want to say that my gut feeling says yes, but I don't know. The problem here too is that if for some reason it doesn't, a lot of these other teams are already going to have guys in place, and it might be difficult for him to find other employment quickly if he wants it. So we'll have to see, but that losing him would lose a lot of the culture, and a lot of the players that are there that love playing for him might change their view on things. So I'd be careful if I'm them with making sure he's looked after, but we'll see. A couple of names to watch that they are going to have a tough time keeping are, UFA defensemen like Brett Pesce and Brady Shea. We'll talk further about Pesce here shortly. Their days in Carolina may be done. Teravainen might be done, for example. Marty Necas is a player to watch on the trade market. He is a restricted free agent, so he's not going to just walk away. But the Carolina Hurricanes are going to have a tough time keeping a lot of these guys. Now, they've made it clear that they're very, very keen on keeping Jake Gensel, who they acquired at the deadline, on a longer-term extension. So if they're going to be able to do that, they're going to have to end up losing a few of these other players for sure. That's why a lot of people feel Necas is likely going to be a victim of that, and then at least one of those defensemen probably won't be back, maybe even both. It's hard to say. They're not the only UFAs either. There's a few others, Martinook, D'Angelo. Jordan Martinook might get paid handsomely somewhere else. He's been a heck of a bottom six player for them, and there's going to be a good market for him if he has to hit the free agency market. So we'll see. The Canes will be interesting. Natchez will be the main player to watch when it comes to trades. Obviously I know one team that was interested in the past was Winnipeg. They've got Nick Ehlers who might need a deal. I don't know if there's a deal to be had there. It might be tough cap-wise, because Ehlers is a player that's been on the market in the rumor mill. I know there's other teams, though. There's going to be a bunch of teams that would be interested in Ehlers, so they may have to do separate moves there. But certainly look for Natchez to be going to either Winnipeg. I would not rule out a few other teams too, even Montreal for a team that's looking to make moves with another younger player. There's a lot of young players on RFA status around the NHL. That makes sense for them. We know they're likely going to go after one of them, just a matter of who that's going to be. I don't have any intel to suggest that they're definitely interested, but just another guy to add to that list. So he's going to be an intriguing name that will get lots of attention out there for sure. We know the Vegas Golden Knights have a lot of interest in retaining Jonathan Marchessault, who is a pending unrestricted free agent. Marchessault himself, at their locker cleanout day, when they were speaking to the media, made it known that he really wants to stay in Vegas, and he acknowledged the fact that he's already had discussions with Kelly McCrimmon about making that happen. At the end of the day, cap-wise, they're going to have a hard time doing that, and they're going to have to shed some money. If they're going to keep Marchessault, then there's going to be another cap victim that's going to have to leave to make room for him. And the belief around the NHL, I've seen multiple reports suggesting that defenseman Shea Theodore may become their latest kind of cap dump victim. They've had a few of them over the years to make room, and I kind of wondered if that might be coming as soon as they sign Noah Hanifin to an 8-year extension after acquiring him earlier this year. Obviously, you add Hanifin to the mix with Pietrangelo, you got Whitecloud, you got Nick Hague, you got Braden McNabb. You're kind of running out of space and you're running out of dollars in that blue line. As much as they like Theodore, they essentially just replaced him with Hanifin. Hanifin was getting more of the power play time in the playoffs as well. So I do wonder about the future of Theodore in Vegas, and if that does make a ton of sense for them to be able to keep Marchessault. So certainly look for another puck-moving defenseman, great skater, and offensive instincts with Theodore possibly here on the market. And of course, like I said, in Toronto, one of the names we're already hearing that they have interest in should he make it to market is former, or soon-to-be former, Hurricane defenseman Brett Pesce. Now, of course, there's always a slim chance that he goes back to the Hurricanes, but they've negotiated off and on for the better part of a year and have yet to reach a deal. Doesn't mean they won't, but it seems a lot less likely at this point. But there is still a solid period of time, over a month before free agency. So at the end of the day, if he makes it there, I expect the Leafs, who have been linked to this defenseman, even though the regime has changed a lot in Toronto over the years, this is a guy who's been linked to going to Toronto for multiple years now. So we'll see. He's a right shot, very solid defensively. Makes a ton of sense. So we'll have to wait and see where he goes. There'll be other teams interested as well, not just Toronto, but there's already reports that are Toronto media suggesting they'll be looking hard at him when the market gets there, if he's available. Also, you got to wonder with the new addition of Craig Berube, some of those St. Louis big defensemen that he likes. Now, one of them's already in the organization, and Joel Evanson, but I believe he's a pending UFA. So the Leafs may make an effort to keep him at Berube's request. We'll have to wait and see. And we know the Blues have been trying hard to shake up that blue line for an extended time, and a lot of them have no move clauses. It's tough to do. I wonder if a guy like Colton Parayko now, who has also at times been popped up in the past in trade rumors to Toronto, if he would be interested in reuniting with his old coach and heading back to Ontario to see if he could make a deal happen to go to the Leafs. His name has popped up for, again, probably the better part of 2 years, not consistently, but every once in a while when you hear about the Leafs and defensemen, Parayko's name has been out there. Now, he does have full trade protection, so obviously, it's he's going to have a lot of call in where he goes. But at the same time, I do wonder if the interest would be there to reunite with Berube. Another name to watch, according to Dave Pagnotta, for the Leafs making moves on the roster that could be available for trade bait. We've talked about Mitch Marner. We've talked about maybe Nick Robertson, but another name to add to that is Timothy Liljegren. According to Pagnota, his name is out there on the rumor mill for names out of Toronto that could be exchanged for other roster players to shake things up. Of course, if they're going to bring in a defenseman, whether it be Pesce via free agency or trading for a guy like Parayko or anything of those natures, they are going to have some names going out, and Liljegren very well could be that guy. Obviously, he's still fairly young, not too expensive, decent skill set. There's lots to like. There would definitely be a market for him if he's made available on the market. So he could be a guy to watch for here as well. But hard to say. It'd be interesting to see. I know it's only the first day that Berube's been hired, so it's early yet. But a lot of speculation on how much influence he may have on a roster, and if a lot of former players that loved playing for him will be interested now in making their way to Toronto, even though they might not have been interested before. So we'll have to see. Be interesting the next few weeks to see how things line up in Toronto and what the rumor will suggest that they might be working on. So let me know your thoughts on all of today's news and rumors down in the comments. We'll discuss further. If you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe and stick around. We'll keep you up to date with the latest news, rumors, and analysis of all 32 NHL teams. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you next time.